This is an open letter to my Israeli friends. Hope everybody is good, everybody is fine. Salute. As usual, the title is Bravo Israel. Bravo. You have taken over more land in West Asia, my Ashkenazi friends. You have taken over land, more land, taken over more land from Arabian Peninsula. So congratulations, bravo. Here's my suggestion, folks. Unless you're really, if you're really, looking forward to the end of times, well, I have nothing to say to you. I don't want to say good luck, because that would be the end of you would be the end of me. So I have nothing to say for the folks who are, hoping and wishing for the end of times. Apparently, things are not going good. Everybody's fed. Everybody's more or less, not dead, except the folks in Ukraine and the folks in Palestine. But more or less everybody else is, has something to eat and is not dead. So under such circumstances that the majority are okay, I'm not sure why would anybody wish to look for the end of times. It just doesn't make sense. It's sort of like everybody is good. Why is there a group of, while everybody is good, why is there a group of people who are wishing for the end of time? You're thinking to yourself that it would make sense that if situation was bad, people would be looking forward to the end of times or something like that. But under current circumstances where so many wealthy Jewish people, wealthy Ashkenazis are around, so many wealthy Anglo-Saxons, so many wealthy white people in general, so many wealthy Christians, things are going so well. Why would anyone hope or wish for the end of times is beyond me. It's beyond me that why would anybody hope or wish for the end of times. So if you are one of those people that while everything is still going pretty decent, I'm talking about in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Dubai, in Qatar, in Dublin, in Berlin, things are going pretty well all around in general. And if you're looking for the end of time, when everything is more or less okay, good, you don't need a country, you need a psychologist, you need a psychiatrist, you need help, you need help, professional help, to see why you're looking for end of times when everything is going so well in humanity wise on planet Earth, environmentally, life wise. When everything is going so well life wise, what kind of craziness looks forward to build towards the end of times, go in the direction that they wish it would end time, end life on planet Earth? Those people, I'm sorry, whether you're Christian, Muslims, or Jewish, or who are looking forward to the end of time while everything is going well, going going so well on planet Earth, more or less, you need professional help. I can't have a conversation with you. Salute. But still, I don't hope bad for you. I just can't have a conversation with you. So salute. Who I wanna have a monologue with is those of the Ashkenazi who aren't building towards the end of time. They're thinking of having a country of their own and think this is the way to do it, the way Israel has been set up and maintained and apparently expand. Those of Ashkenazi folks who are living in Israel and are not looking for the end of times, but you like to live in a good country, the problem is you Ashkenazi folks, you lost your country a long time ago. Your country apparently was between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea. Anyway, some time ago you had a land of your own. Something happened. You guys are no longer there. But that's not my point. Let's assume you are in Egypt and you are in Palestine. The whole thing, let's assume, belonged to you. But unfortunately, it was so long ago having a country of Ashkenazi. Having a country, running a country was so long ago for you folks that I'm sorry to say, but you frankly don't know how to put a country together. You kind of feel that the way you're going, again, back to the first thing that I mentioned, you guys, a bunch of you're not looking for at the end of times. You're not looking forward to the end of times. You haven't gone to Israel to seek the end of times, but you have gone there to have a country of your own and have self-determination as Ashkenazis and do well. You're not looking for end of time. You're hoping to do well in Israel. Here's the thing, folks. Grabbing power, grabbing land is not the difficult part. Holding on to it is the difficult part. What I'm trying to say is take a trip to Mongolia. I think every Israeli should take a trip to Mongolia and have a conversation with the Mongols. Inner Mongolia, that's independent Mongolia. Salute. I think every Israeli should study Mongolian history and what they did, where they came from, what they did, and what happened next, and see that whoever is left of Mongolians around the world who doesn't live in Mongolia doesn't want to own up that he's Mongolian. The Turks are Mongolian, but they can't own up being Mongolian because of the way Mongols took power, took land with lots of bloodshed. So, and the way Mongols had to eventually go back to Mongolia or settle down and become part of the native flora and fauna, because again they thought the important thing is grabbing land. They didn't understand that the difficult part is holding on to it, the maintaining it, the holding on to it. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this as a friend, because you see, as long as these other Europeans, as long as Germany, France, England, the fucking British and Uncle Sam's managers. As long as they're willing and able to send you top of the line armaments and money and fund your campaigns, you can conquer, you can expand, you can take over, as long as these guys pay for it. But and the more you expand, the more expensive its maintenance becomes. You see what I'm saying? Now you have to, put up walls around the bigger piece of land. You have to increase the number of forts, put up walls, increase the number of forts. In Syria now, maybe a little in Lebanon. This is the plan. You expand Israel to cover half of Arabian Peninsula. Good for you. But the idea is you can take it by force. As long as these people, first of all, they have to have the top of the line weapons. Here's the thing. They have to have the top of the line weapons, produce the top of the line weapons, and willing to spend the added their GDP in producing those weapons and handing those weapons to you. You can actively expand and maintain the land that you have grabbed by force. The moment they don't want to finance you, they don't want to fund you, or they no longer have the top of the line weapons, you're done. The native flora and fauna will grow back and take over. You see what I'm saying? This force will take over. This is what I'm saying, that you have to go to Mongolia and talk to the Mongols and learn from the Mongols that to make an empire, to make a country, to keep a country, you can't. If you plan on you can by force, but if you're planning on using force, your force has to be limitless in every sense. The funds and the arms has to be always top of the line, the best, and the most expensive. Therefore, the most expensive. Yeah, as long as, but the idea is how long you think this funding is going to continue, while more and more people go hungry in Germany, in France, in England, in North America. More and more people become homeless, more and more become hungry, more and more don't have health care, don't have proper education. More and more you go towards the situation in which these folks cannot sustainably maintain the arms and the funds that they have been sending your way. And what happens then? This is the part that I said it's difficult to maintain. You can grab land, you can take over, but maintaining is a different story. As long if the natives are not happy with you, you cannot maintain. You see, if holding on to the land is ultra expensive, why holding on to the land would be very expensive, super expensive? Because the natives are not happy with you. Why they are not happy with you? Because they're Arabs and you're Ashkenazi. They can see in the difference in the shade of the people. They have difference in your language, you have difference in your perception of life, you have difference. You're Europeans, they're Arabs. In every sense you're different. And religion is just one thing, which many of you are secular Europeans, seculars, people from North America. You can be Christian, you can be Jewish, it doesn't matter. You're white. And apparently that's the main requirement of being in Israel as a settler, is you have to be white. You can even be Christian, Zionist, and no problem, live in Israel. But you can't be brown. or speak Arabic and speak Arabic. Well, you can, but you're going to be in the background as a second, third class citizen. Anyway, my point is this: as long as you can maintain it, and because the natives are not. But when I say the natives, I don't mean the people in the palaces. I mean the people in the streets. Yes, you can twist the arm of the people sitting in the palaces in Riyadh and in Doha and in Abu Dhabi and in Kuwait. You can twist their arms in Jordan or in Egypt. You can twist their arms, the people who are sitting in the palaces. You can twist their arms and bring them to the table and have them sign paperwork, the Abraham Accords, with you with their free hand. You have twisted one hand, but you have let one hand free so they can sign the peace accord with you. But these are people in the palaces. Maintenance means that people in the streets have to accept you. What chances there are for the people in the street who have been humiliated by you for such a long time? All the Arabs that in the streets that have been humiliated by you and have seen their cousins and their brothers and their other Arabs being humiliated by you, what are the chances that those folks will ever consider to accept you as their overlord, accept you as, yeah, these folks are fine, they have taken all the lands and they have kicked our asses and we are fine with that. Salute. It's never gonna happen. Not because it's you, it's never gonna happen anywhere. The Aborigines of Australia still are pissed off of the white people. The Aborigines of New Zealand still resent the presence of white people on their land. The Aborigines of fucking Hawaii still, it's been fucking 200-300 years, still resent their white overlords. And yes, if one day somebody else provides them with imagine an aliens come down and provide the natives of Hawaii with a means to push back Uncle Sam's managers, they will do it in a day and declare their independence if just they had the right weapons. If people of Puerto Rico had the right weapons, they could stand up for themselves. They would. So what I'm trying to say is that it's the maintenance part is the problem. As long as the natives are armless and the force on top of them is immense, you can keep control. You can maintain the territory that you have gained. But the moment the natives, use their fucking brain and find a way to, push back, your maintenance is broken. So you always, to the end of time, here's the point I'm trying to make. You have to keep your military and financial advantage till the end of time if you want to maintain the territories that you have gained by force. Do you know any empire that has lasted since the beginning of time? Do you know, forget about country, do you know any empire that has lasted since the beginning of time? No. What does that tell you? That tells you that last empire didn't last till the end of time. Next empire is not going to last till the end of time. This empire of white people is not going to last till the end of time. Ultimately, we can conclude if we are frank, that this empire can't last till the end of time. Just like the Mongol Empire didn't last till the end of time. Because keeping both military and financial advantage is difficult. When those natives over there, whoever they are, when they're forced to, they will innovate and they will find a way, if if they can, because it becomes existential for them. When the takeover of the land is by force and you kill so many of them, suddenly, half of Gaza become, rocket scientists. This is what I'm trying to say, is that, the need creates the, necessity is the mother of invention. Is, I'm sure many people in Gaza know the science behind rocketry right now. The rudimentary science behind rockets, because there was a need, they were being overrun, and then the invention or learning from other people's invention, doesn't matter, they eventually find a way to, as they saw, defending themselves, defending their land against the Europeans who have settled down. So my point is this: the streets, because it's called Arabian Peninsula and you're not Arabs, you're Ashkenazi, the streets will never accept you unless you accept to be a minority and quietly go and quietly come and mind your own business. That's the only way the streets in Arabian Peninsula will accept Europeans. Just like the same thing in Malaysia. Streets in Malaysia will accept an European as long as that European quietly comes and quietly goes and minds his own business. But they will not accept Europeans colonizing them, ruling them, just as we saw. Eventually they found a way to fight back and push the Europeans out. My point is this, sir. My Israeli friends, salute. You're wasting time and life trying to grab land as if just grabbing it would solve all the problems. Grab land and then, at a very expensive price, all this money that's being spent for armaments to arm Israel. You're grabbing land at a very expensive price and you think you can hold on to this land. Well, yes, you can hold on as long as Uncle Sam is willing to pay for you to hold on. Because it's a very expensive endeavor, holding on to such a, such a piece of land, which, while at the same time you have pissed off all the natives. Unless you're going to go as far as exterminating all the natives, not just 10% of them, not 20% of them, because the more of them you kill, as long as you have not killed all of them, whatever remains are going to be extremely pissed off at you. Again, I'm talking about, for example, the streets of Jordan, not the palace, the streets of Jordan. As an ally, Jordan is an ally. No, King of Jordan is an ally, not the streets of Jordan. The rulers of Egypt are allies, not the streets of Egypt. And they're allies because they have been purchased. But again, the idea that no empire, no amount of blackmail, no amount of purchase, no amount of bribe can last forever. Because no empire can last forever. So the solution is you stop the nonsense. Yes, we know you don't know how to have a country, and I tell you, this is not the way to have a country. your best option is to go secular, at least at this point. Just put your hands up and say, hey, we are sorry, we thought we can make this work as a whites only colony. We can't. It's a bad idea. This is Arabian Peninsula. Majority are pissed off of us, and we know one day Uncle Sam will not maintain us. Either cannot or will not. One day Uncle Sam either cannot or will not. They will spend money as long as they can, but there will come a day that they cannot spend that money on you. Even they can't even spend that money on you right now, because they spend the money that Uncle Sam's managers are spending on maintenance of Israel. They're not spending on maintaining their own citizens, education, housing, and healthcare. So there will come a day, if maybe not next year, next 5 years, there will come a day that eventually some of Uncle Sam's managers are going to say, hey, its situation in our own backyard is really bad. We really can't spend this money in Israel. We needed to spend it here. And they're going to stop financing you. If they stop financing you and arming you, i.e. arming you, what are the chances that you can maintain your dominance on Arabian Peninsula? What are the chances that the natives are going to go easy on you? What are the chances that the natives are going to say, yeah, okay, fine, you killed a lot of us, but we're going to be kind to you? Salute. As I said, Mongols have a black face for life. No, Mongols really don't want to admit that they're Mongols. Especially those Mongols that are not in Mongolia, they don't want to even admit that they are from Mongol blood. That's why the Turks don't say we are Mongols, they say we are Turks. All the Central Asia, those Turkish races, they're not really Turkish, they're Mongols. But they don't want to own up to it. And we know that because their language is extremely close to the Mongolian language. Guess what? Guess why they don't want to own up being Mongols, the Turks? Because of the history of the Mongols. Who wants to say that, I am related to a fucking British king? Because of the history of the Britain and how much bloodthirsty the British kings have been. Who wants to say I'm related to, Adolf Hitler or, House of Windsor? Doesn't matter. They're all the same. Nobody wants to really, nobody in their right mind wants to admit that they're related to Mussolini, Hitler, Churchill. Nobody wants to admit that. Many go and change their last name so to make sure that they're not that. What I'm trying to say is that you don't want to go down that route that, in 50 years from now, nobody wants to admit that they're Ashkenazi. Maybe nobody even wants to admit that they're Jewish because of what you have done in Israel, because of the history. It's eventually, if this continues, and obviously one day Uncle Sam will not have the funds to support you, you have to close shop and leave Israel, leave Palestine. What if end of days doesn't take us all? If end of days doesn't come, you have to close shop and leave Palestine. And at that point, I have a feeling those people, none of them would ever want to admit that they were Jewish. First of all, they wouldn't want to admit they're Israeli. Wherever they go in the world, they will not admit they're Israelis. They will not want to admit that they're Ashkenazi, and probably they wouldn't even want to admit that they're Jewish. because of the the shit show that you're running over there right now, thinking that grabbing land is the important part, and not thinking and not understanding that, in terms of running a country, maintenance is the important part. And it's not if you have grabbed land without consent of the natives, then maintenance is going to be very expensive, as you can see. And the more blood you shed, the more expensive maintenance is going to become. And believe me, just like no empire lasted forever, Uncle Sam's manager's empire is not going to last forever either. And even if the empire lasts and some sane people become in charge and the empire lasts, it's not going to be as financially able as it is right now, or it has been during the past 70 years financing you folks there. And as you can see, your financing becomes more expensive. If 50 years ago Uncle Sam's managers could get away by just financing your presence in West Asia by $3 billion a year, have you noticed recently they have to finance you at the tone of $30 billion a year, something like that, because your territory has expanded, the land that you have taken under responsibility has expanded, you need more people to guard it, more missiles and more Iron Dome projectiles and more this and more that, because the bigger the territory gets, the more expensive its maintenance becomes. At one point, Uncle Sam's managers are either not going to be able, or if they're smart, they wouldn't want to finance such a big enterprise, forceful enterprise on Arabian Peninsula. And that's the day you have to pack your bag and change your name, and nobody no longer would want to call themselves Ashkenazi or Israel, especially Israeli, nor Ashkenazi, and maybe not even Jewish. Salute. If you can see the end, and this is how it's going to, if as I said, if you don't bring the end of times, this is how it's going to play out. These guys are going to stop supporting, and you guys have to leave, because you certainly cannot be self-supporting. Just like if I move to a neighborhood and kill a couple of neighbors, I wouldn't be able to do business in the neighborhood, and my life would be in danger in that neighborhood because I went to their neighborhood and killed a couple of people. I can't reside in that neighborhood because, first, my life is always in danger because I already killed a couple of the neighbors. Second, nobody in the neighborhood wants to do business with me. So if nobody wants to do business with Israel, which, believe me, again, the palace may want to do business with Israel, the palaces in the Middle East, but the streets of the Middle East will not want to do business with Israel. That's the whole idea of, the whole idea of not wanting to go to Starbucks just because Starbucks is, associated with Israel a lot, or McDonald's. These people have, taken a lot of laws just because of their association with Israel. So my point is this, that the streets are not with you because you're forcefully taken over and kicked their ass and humiliated them. The streets of Arabian Peninsula is never going to be with you, ever. The palaces, they are, but again, nothing lasts forever. If you're thinking long term, You should be leaving Israel, my Israeli friends, if you're thinking long term, because Israel is not a long term plan. It's just not. It's not a long term plan. New York is a long term plan, you know. Toronto is a long term plan, but for living and propagating and whatever you want to do. But Israel, you know, living in a white guy in a brown skinned Arab land, that's not a long term plan. And ruling them. Remember, you're not living like white people live in Thailand, you know, as part of the crowd. No, you want to rule Arabian Peninsula, rule all the countries in the neighborhood. That's not a long term plan. Because, you know, eventually these guys will not be able to support you financially. Then what? You're going to be overrun by the natives. Eventually maybe natives will get weapons that are more superior than yours. You know, an alien race has landed and has provided the natives, you know, those streets of Egypt and Jordan. An alien race has landed and has provided mighty weapons to the streets of Egypt and Jordan. What happens then? Those weapons are mightier than yours and whatever Uncle Sam's managers have provided to you. You have to leave town. You have to leave the country. You see what I'm saying? There are a lot of ways that this shit can go wrong. This is what I'm saying. This idea of white people ruling brown people on the Arabian Peninsula. There is a lot of ways this shit can go wrong. These guys run out of money. These guys come to their senses. Somebody else provide better weapons to the natives. Many ways that shit can go wrong. Now what? That means it's not a wise long-term plan, which means, you know, if I was Israeli, I would, you know, pack up and go somewhere that there is a chance of a long-term plan. You know, somewhere that, you know, you don't stick out of the crowd. Somewhere where there are white people.